in order. Pardon me, 7:01. Okay, so I see we have some guests. We'll take the top couple items and then we can turn it over to them in order, if that makes sense. Okay. So is there a motion to accept the secretary's report?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Discussion.
I think it's so good that I look forward to another year of amazing minutes.
I wasn't gonna be
No pressure.
I'll second that.
No, I don't think we need to vote on that one, but we'll go ahead and vote on the original motion. All right, Amy?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Yes, that passes unanimously. Acceptance of the monthly staff reports. Is there a motion to accept?
Second.
Discussion.
You just want to let them be there.
Yeah, I mean, if no one's gonna, well, we'll give everyone time to marinate on that, but this is where we were gonna pivot to turn it over to the youth room, is that correct?
Why not? Yes.
Very good. So we have on the agenda here a sub-bullet for the Summer at the Library presentation. So as I say, it's my favorite presentation every year, so I'm looking forward to it. Any other introduction you need, Catherine?
No, I don't know if everyone, we have a new trustee here who you may not know. This is Karen Sadler in the middle here, and on the lower is Annie Hawkeiser, who's our teen librarian, and at the top on the left is Ariel, and on the right is Heidi. And they're children's librarians.
Oh, I certainly recognize them from offices.
Everyone recognizes the children's librarians.
Hi folks, it's great to see you all again. As Catherine mentioned, I'm Annie. I'm the teen librarian. It's great to see you all. We always look forward to telling you a little bit about summer. So we're just going to do a quick little overview so you can get an idea of what the program looks like this year. And Catherine, I believe Megan may have given you some, I call them the props, if you will. You'll be able to see a couple items that we have. This is our brochure. This gives a nice little overview of the program. This year, our Summer at the Library is going to begin on June 23rd. It will run until August 16th, so we have about 8 weeks or so of this program. The way this works, it is totally free to sign up. Folks just come right on down to the youth room, let us know, hey, I'm here for Summer at the Library. We sign them up, super easy. If someone is signing up and they have a child who is 0 to 5 years old, that child will receive a sticker book. So they're going to be collecting stickers throughout the summer. If they have a child who is entering kindergarten through 4th grade, so headed into elementary school, they'll receive a lanyard on which they will be collecting buttons. The stickers and buttons can be earned by, you'll see if you flip to the collectible page in here, you can see how they're earned. You can earn them by reading different numbers of books. We are a library, of course. They can also earn them by coming to various programs at the library, and as well as playing our Where's Buzzy game, which Heidi will talk about in a bit, and Ariel will tell us about some of the programs coming up. For kids who are headed into middle school through high school, which is, as we know, 5th through 12th grade in Wakefield, they are going to be collecting scratch tickets. This year we've introduced, previously they've been able to get 1 scratch ticket per day. All they have to do is come into the library and ask for one. This year I've added an additional component, so they can always get their daily ticket. They can also earn a reading ticket this year. This is a very complicated process. They will have to come in and ask for a ticket and tell me what they are reading. That's it. We're just using the honor system, which is the same as what we use with the little guys who are doing their reading as well. Reading tickets will also enter the teens into a weekly raffle for a gift certificate to Whitelam Books over in Reading. This was something that we tried out last year. It was very popular. So the reading tickets this year will be the entry into that. And let's see, I think we are just about ready to turn it over to Ariel. Would you like to tell us a little bit about the programs we have coming up this summer?
Yes, hello everyone. As Annie said, I am Ariel. So we have a lot going on this summer, as we do every summer. Starting with our story times, we're going to have 21 story times. That's 7 per age group, 7 for the babies. Oh, you've got the for sure. 7 for the 1s and 2s with me, and then 7 for the 3 to 5-year-olds. Along with that, we are going to have 33 programs that are run by us, the librarians. A few of them that we have here would be for our youngest children. We have the Picture Book Artist Club, which Holly does generally every summer. That's featuring a special artist, and then the children replicate that art here at the library. We have puppet making with Miss Heidi for the Ks to 2 as well. Going upwards in age, I'm going to have a Lego challenge for the 3rd and 4th graders, and Kat will be making light up fireflies with that age group as well. Heading on up to Miss Annie up there. She has our kindness rocks, where the children will be painting rocks and also writing positive things and spreading some love around town, as well as the musical theater audition workshop. That one I'm very excited for. We are going to have a collaboration between Annie and Holly to get the kids who are interested in theater, specifically musical theater, a chance to perform in a stress-free environment and get some tips from our own actor, Annie. For all ages, we have our 2 scavenger hunts this summer, as well as the Disney sing-along, which I think is going to have some rave reviews, and our open chess night, which is a new feature at the library where our chess friends can start playing together. In conjunction with the chess nights, we also have chess club with the chess master Katerina Odnorozenko. That's going to be for all ages as well, but generally between grades, I believe, 2 and 8. One Up Games is coming back twice this summer. And we have some new performers, such as Professor Bugman, showing us all about insects, and Ants on a Log, a musical troupe for children. And I think that is just about all of our programs this season, except for Buzzy.
Hi, everyone. Glad to see you. I'm Heidi, and I do the Where's Buzzy program with Annie now. This summer, the program is called Where's Buzzy? A Jurassic Journey. Yep. He's a park ranger this year who takes his younger sister, Honey, on a tour of this strange park. And it's a race against time as they run into various dinosaurs each week. And will they make it out of the park? This is a downtown scavenger hunt where families follow Buzzy's adventure, finding a poster each week in a downtown store front window. Clues to those windows are posted on the library's front and side doors, so you can play even if the library is closed. When they find the poster, they can scan a QR code to see and hear Buzzy in action. Each poster includes a dinosaur that Buzzy encounters. Name that dino and come back to the library to collect a special Buzzy button. There are 6 buttons in this collection. Our vendors this year are Inspire Cafe, Hobby Bunker, the UPS Store, Boba Tea and Snow Ice, and Cravings. This program runs for approximately 6 weeks, culminating in one final search back at the youth room for something that Buzzy and Honey, his sister, bring back. And just to note, I did go back on my phone, and the earliest photo I did see of the old Buzzy was in 2017. This is year 8 for Where's Buzzy, and it's still going strong. Thank you.
Thank
To let everyone in town know about this, we've been making our way around to some of the Wakefield public schools. We will be at all 4 of the elementary schools. We will be visiting the Doyle preschool, and Ms. Kat and I will be over at the Galvin next week as well during their book fair to help spread the word about what's happening this summer. The high schoolers are extremely busy, so it's a little hard for me to get in there, but I have put together a little Canva presentation so they're able to learn about what's available to them this summer as well. And an exciting new thing we're trying out this year to kick all of this off, we are having a kickoff party. That's going to be on Monday, June 23rd. It's going to be from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. This is a great time for folks to come on in, get signed up. I'm letting the teens know this is your first dibs at all the good prizes. We will also have some music playing. You'll be able to get a preview of all the great programs coming your way this summer. We are going to have freeze pops, a fun little thing to celebrate. There's also an extra special collectible on that day during that party only, and there will be a special limited time scavenger hunt. A lot of other libraries do tend to do kickoff parties. In previous years, we've tried out end of summer parties with sort of, a little block party that we've done. This can get a little tricky because a lot of folks tend to start heading out on vacation at that time, especially as the camps end. So this year we're switching it up and we're going to try it out at the beginning, which actually happened many years ago. Before I worked here, we used to do a little ice cream social. So we're sort of going back to some of those roots and revisiting that. And I think that's sort of a compact version of all the different things happening this summer. I'd love to turn it over to you folks if you have any questions for us at all.
No, I have a question about the summer program. I have a youth room comment. Well, we have you, it's great we have you all here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
One, I wanted to, this was the staff reports, I love the youth room and the reference desk, like switching spots for a little bit and kind of learning from each other. That was great to read about that. It was a good experience for you all. And then the note about the Skype scientist and the response of that one participant in particular who was so excited. So that it's so lovely to read those notes when we read the packet. So thank you for including that.
She's referencing the story of the child that fell out of their chair at the Skype scientist thing. Yeah, I know that Kat wrote that, so I didn't know if you had seen it.
Yeah.
Are you finding that many of the kids that start these programs fairly young, are you able to track them through the years as they come back summer after summer? I don't know how long each of you have been involved in this, but is there any tracking that you do?
What we're tracking specifically is the age brackets, which we do for the state. We also track the different grades that we have as well. We don't necessarily track individual participants though.
Do you have is there an age group where there's a particular interest in all of these things? Or do you see sort of like a bulge in the population at some point?
I think the elementary school is probably who we see the most of, so kids who are headed into grades kindergarten through 4th. And we also tend to see a good amount of sort of the early middle schoolers as well, especially the kids in grades sort of 5 and 6 tend to, they show up and turn out for us.
Good. Thank you.
They make it sound so easy.
Oh, yeah, so, I don't want to step on anyone, but
This has been months.
yeah, thank
This
you
is very impressive.
for all the work that you put into, obviously this presentation, but to all the events, just getting to the point, never mind actually executing all of these events, but the planning is a huge amount of work, tremendous creativity. I think there's a lot of great options here. So thanks for that, and thanks for keeping Buzzy going. I think it's great to get kids into the library, but I think it's great to get them moving around town too, getting to know their town a little bit, and kind of engage some of the folks who help support the library over the year too. So that's terrific. It's all terrific. Thank you very much.
I have a question about Buzzy, because Buzzy's always been on the Facebook page, the Buzzy videos. So since we're not doing Facebook right now for the library, is there going to be any social media Buzzy video, or will it just be the sign on the door?
I think we might put it up on Instagram, just the teaser one.
He's on the web, it's on the website, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on the website. Yes, it's on the website too.
Is it on, YouTube? I think it's on
Oh,
our YouTube.
yes, yes.
He is on YouTube, but to see him, you would have to first find his poster. The way he's appeared on Facebook has been a little different in previous years. He used to come on Facebook to give you a video clue about where he would be. Now that clue can be accessed on the doors of the library, right downstairs in the youth room, and also on the website as well, if someone wants to do it from home. And then the video that they get now is, I like to call it Buzzy on location. Heidi designs these gorgeous videos. She uses all of these different props, and then she animates Buzzy to speak. So he gets to tell the kids a bit about whatever he's seen this year. It's dinosaurs. Last year, he told them about underwater creatures he found. He's told them about different things in space he's found. So that's sort of their little way that they can engage with him and actually sort of see what he's doing, as opposed to just getting a clue about where a special message might be.
Thank you.
Hey, is there a way we can see some of these?
I can send it to you. I'll send you a link.
Okay, how about on the big screen? No,
On here right now?
no, not now, but at some point.
Yeah.
I'm
it's
just
on-
curious. I may be very.
Not on the phone.
They're very well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. I'll send you a link so you can see it.
Okay, thanks.
The kids love seeing.
Yes, if anyone wants a little sneak preview of his adventure this year, you can find him on wakefieldlibrary.org/Buzzy.
Okay.
BUZZY.
Are all of the programs up on the library calendar already, or have they not been loaded? They're already there?
They are already up and ready to rock and roll. And the reading lists are also available as well. These are not in conjunction with the school. We just make them in-house. This year, they're about 2 pages double-sided, so 4 pages total, with suggestions for titles for, rising kindergartners, rising second graders. And those will be available in person at the library, but you can also find them on our summer webpage, which is wakefieldlibrary.org/summer.
There's space for the friends to help publicize this if they were so inclined, and by so doing, publicize themselves and during some quiet months for themselves.
I haven't spoken with any of my friends since the book sale. That is a good idea. All of the stuff they made makes reference to the Friends and it's on our website. So, and it's, all the Friends stuff is on the Plaza Jazz stuff too.
Great.
So, I'll mention it to the Friends because they have somebody who does their social media.
Is that email address right? It's whack, not weak.
Right, it's whack, yeah.
Never knew that.
Yeah, if I want to get a message to the entire staff, it's whack staff. It's not weak.
Okay, any other comments or questions for librarians about summer programs?
Great.
Yeah, looks amazing. Thanks for giving us a sneak preview. I look forward to it every year. And if there's nothing else, then I'll say thanks very much. You're free to hang out. But if you need to get back to something, thanks again for all your hard work.
Thanks so much. Thanks for your time.
Bye, thank you. Bye.
Okay, awesome. Is there any other discussion about the monthly staff reports?
I just had a question, obviously being the first reports I've read, but is there a sense of, sort of over numbers for people attending the programming, sort of, is it similar month to month, or do you see a lot of fluctuations? Because I see the raw numbers, but I don't see sort of maybe.
Month to.
Right.
Yeah, so what we put in this is one of the things that we're gonna talk about at some point, probably in June, is what you wanna see on the reports. And I used to annually give what we call the measures of use. There's so many numbers, there's so many numbers. It's almost better if you have a question and you wanna know something, for us to then find those numbers and present that. This just gives you the month. I mean, you're not comparing to the prior year because you can't really. When it comes to programming, I think the charts in here pretty much just give you an idea of what they did that month. Not so much as a comparison, but just to know, so if somebody said to you, you know, it's too bad there's not a knitting group somewhere, knitting might come into your mind, that there's something in the Wakefield where knitters are hanging out. So it just kind of gives you an idea more so than looking at it as a statistic, which is something that we do when we're planning things. You know, so all the summer stuff is, we're looking at all those statistics well before we created the program.
It'd be interesting to see some trend data
Right.
on the long running. Or trivia, and maybe not even necessarily every month, but you know, once a quarter, once a year, something like that. But yeah, I agree, it's tough to dump all the numbers in because we get a lot of one-offs that can be like wildly divergent in both our ability to support folks and then just general interest.
Yeah, I had, for a very short period of time, Jackie and I were doing the like statistic of the month. And so we were kind of trying to figure out, well, what would be of interest? And it was so much work. And almost, I think nobody ever commented on it. And so that we thought, well, you know, we're not answering the question because we don't know what people want to know. I think what might be interesting to us isn't necessarily interesting to you as a trustee. So we need to play with that. I could show you the entire measures of use, so you could see what we're working with. And those numbers were federal and they go way back. So that as the spreadsheets changed over time, they're always comparing apples to apples because you have to leave things in. So at some point, social media we started tracking, but there are years where there was no social media. So as things change, so it creates an enormous spreadsheet because you don't want to lose anything, but you have to add things or stop other things.
Yeah, and like for the Laxits, you have to do it by event because there's a different number of events in different months. So the total head count for the month wouldn't really tell you what you wanted to see either.
No, so the department heads have, you know, the granular stuff and then it goes into a larger spreadsheet and it's monthly. So that you're seeing trends month over month. You're not always sure what it's telling you. You have to look at it and say, what is this number? What does this say? It's like circulation is that way too. That you get circulation numbers and you can compare them to other communities. And they are apples to apples, but those statistics include when something is renewed. Like it doesn't tell you necessarily what you think it's telling you. You know, it's like 500,000 things, but how many of that was a single thing that somebody renewed it 3 times? Or there's other things you have to consider, so. I guess all statistics are like that.
Yeah, I mean, my 2 cents are when you guys can take the data and turn it into information, that's helpful. Like we saw a spike in polls we were doing 1 month and you were able to point directly to Melrose was closed.
Right.
So like that kind of, you know, the data with context is,
Right.
Is very helpful.
Yeah, either that or there's a mistake. But we saw something with traffic that was weird.
Yeah.
And the counter was broken.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Speaking of traffic and hours, is Stone still open? I haven't paid attention to it in several weeks, so I don't know.
Everything is still open and it's, we should know in June what's gonna happen. I think they have some votes for, an override or something in Stoneham and in Linfield. Melrose has a tight budget, but they're fine. I mean, they're working
Right.
with what they've got.
So we could potentially get an uptick from both Stone and Wakefield by the end of the summer,
We could get what?
like an uptick in traffic.
I don't think they'll close. It looks now like they won't close. It's just whether or not they'll be certified.
Gotcha.
And if either way, it wouldn't be an uptick in traffic because either they're not allowed in or they're going.
Well, they're allowed in,
Yeah, they're
They
allowed
just-
in.
so they could
Just
come
don't
use the
touch it.
computers.
Don't touch it.
So,
Take it
well,
out.
I mean, like for all the kids programming and
Yeah.
stuff, I imagine that
My
you're
impression
assuming
is-
influx on.
My impression from Stone was that it's off the cliff now. It may, if they, there's a lot of things to happen, but it's not the like, oh, you know, it's completely going down to zero now. Now it's we're gonna try to keep certified at least and then figure it out for next year kind of thing.
They're actually working in a 6-month period. They're trying to get through 6 months and then after that, see if they can get another 6 months. So they're using all the resources that they have, like they're going into trust funds and friends and all of that, but it's only gonna give them 6 months.
So I was just thinking like with all the summer programs, like do you think we'll see twice as many kids as what we've always seen in the summer because
I don't
of
think
the
so.
breakdowns or no?
I don't know, I don't think so.
I think that's where like some of the data, like year over year numbers would be helpful, like at the end of the summer, to compare the summer 2025 numbers to the summer 2024 numbers, or just to kind of anecdotally, those of you who are here every day can probably sense if things are busy or not, but having those numbers maybe presented once a year, like would be helpful in terms of all of a sudden there's a realization like, oh, we need more staffing on Saturdays or whatever the thing is, how do, you know what I mean, so like, but where some of the numbers impact that, I guess.
Yeah, and you have to look at the numbers, when we're looking at those numbers too for the summer, I'm also looking at what's the population. So, you know, because those 5-year-olds next year are gonna be 6.
Yeah.
And unless there's a mass movement out of town, you know how many kids to expect or how many you want to entice. Especially when they're going from the little kids all come, so if you wanna hold on to them when they're going into middle school, you have an idea of how many there are.
This would have been a question for the children's staff, but how do they track the enrollment of these kids, whether they're from Wakefield or from elsewhere?
I don't know if they do.
Do they at all? That's the question, I guess that's the
No,
question.
I don't.
So when you sign up, you put the parent's email address, but I don't.
Do the parents come with a car?
Sometimes they
They're
want
not allowed
contact, sometimes they want contact information only because they might be doing a raffle or something.
Yeah,
But they're not really tracking.
yeah.
I remember a couple of years ago, this was somebody, I don't know, you, Jack, maybe read it, but were able to kind of give us a, you know, this is how many kids live in Wakefield, and this is how many kids hold a library card, and this is how many adults primarily check out books that are probably for kids, so like, based on that, you were able to extrapolate like 80% of the kids in Wakefield have access to a library, like it was, and this was probably years ago at this point, but that was just interesting to kind of, after the summer, kind of see what the penetration of like elementary school age kids, which is, I'm guessing is very young, but and then as that gets lower, I mean, high schoolers don't get rid of their library cards, right, but they always,
Big drop off, I guess, at 5th grade, 6th grade.
So in the case of,
Sometimes.
just to link these two things together, in the case of decertification in Stoneham, will those kids excluded from coming to a program here?
Possibly. Yeah. Yeah, so we would know in advance, that would go into effect, like, it's not gonna happen, so we haven't made any plans for that.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen in July, but when it happened before in Saugus, and I don't know if it was another town too, but I remember Saugus. When Saugus was not certified, we started asking for information.
Yeah,
We did not serve.
Right,
You could
right.
they could go to the train table, they could do whatever they wanted,
sure.
but they didn't have access to a librarian doing a story time.
Who's gonna be the one to tell a 6-year-old?
I know, it's hard, it's really hard.
Yeah.
We had a script and, nobody wants to do it, but it's the only way a lot of times you'd be taking those kids and then a Wakefield person couldn't get in.
Yeah.
There's only so much room, there's only so much space in that room. So, if other towns are gonna start taking that space, how many story times can you do in a day, you know?
Hope it doesn't come in.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody hopes it doesn't come to that. Because the system works best when we're all in it.
I will accept the staff reports.
If there's no other discussion, I think that we have the motion still open. We can just go around the horn and vote. Right, Amy,
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Karen?
Yep.
Dan?
Yes.
Chris?
I'll abstain since I don't know what the motion was.
Very good. And I'm a yes. The motion to accept the staff reports passes.
All right, I was afraid I came in a little too late for that.
It's approved,
Start paying the trustees.
yes, 7-0 with one abstention.
Just messing up the
Glad you
words.
enjoyed that.
You got a macro that says unanimous?
I've
You
never
can't-
had anybody abstain because they didn't deal with the motion
I
was.
wasn't in the building.
I admire your adherence to the
Yeah.
sanctity of the vote.
Those rocket
So, okay, I should have done this at the top, but there wasn't anything on the agenda, so I just blindly moved ahead. Karen, would you like to introduce yourself? You can say a few words.
Hi everyone, my name is Karen Saza, I'm happy to be the latest library trustee, probably for the questions and, yeah, just happy to be here.
Excellent, welcome to the scene.
Should we introduce ourselves? I'm Susan Wetmore, I'm a trustee for 100 years.
Chris Barrett, working in round 3, I think.
Top of the ticket for the last time.
We know each other.
Yeah.
Kids are the same age.
Okay.
We know.
Oh, see, we're old people over here.
Yeah.
And I'm your neighbor.
Jeff Quinn, we were on the ballot together.
Mark Barton. The best secretary, note taker you could ever ask for. Just as
We're
an
voting
aside.
on positions later in the meeting, so they're just
Are
ready,
we?
we're really good.
I didn't notice, I'm sorry.
So no one else wants it.
Susan, you brought flowers? What? You brought flowers?
Okay, next item is public participation. I think it's just us at this point. Continue on. Correspondence. We had a note from the town about an event to wish Mr. Mayo goodbye. It is coming up on Sunday.
I did not include the note.
Yeah.
In the packet.
Okay. All right, so I heard about this when the town reached out and said, do any town boards want to do anything for this event? And I said, well, your deadline is before the trustees meet again, so I can't officially say anything, but probably. And they wrote back, well, do you want to present stuff on a table? I don't know what that means, so I'm gonna say no, but I didn't wanna pass along that the event is this Sunday, it's June 1st, and that's, let me pull up my email,
Is it June 1st?
pretty sure it
That
is.
sounds right. It's long too, it's like several hours.
There's, looks like a marathon.
Like an open house.
I think so, so there's, so setup's at 11, volunteers meet at 11:30, I don't know if that includes us or not, probably not, but noon to 2 is open to the public, and then there's speakers starting at 2 o'clock, so so there's a lot going on, but not a lot of detail. I wanted to pass that along. We were invited to put some objects on a table. I don't know what exactly that entails.
Where would that table be located?
That's a good question. It would be in the Civic Center. I would assume, yeah, there it is, the American Civic Center, Saturday, June 1st. Yeah, so I wanted to at least pass that along, even though the deadline was like 2 weeks ago.
I guess the question is anybody available to attend? Is that?
So
I
think I'm going to attend. I think I was RSVP'd on my behalf by someone who's involved in a much more connected committee than ours. I will be there.
Presenting or just as an open house?
Not much of an extemporaneous speaker.
Yeah, I think it's just open house because organizations set up tables that, you know, I know like Wave is gonna be there and those organizations that they've worked with him and he's.
Yeah.
So let's.
So it's, you know, the elected bodies I think are a little bit different. So 11:30 to 12, volunteers meet with Steve. I'm wondering, like, will the friends be there, maybe? And then it's open to the public, so I think it's just like it's like a meet and greet.
Yeah.
Just to say thank you for your support.
Yeah, that sounds great. I couldn't get my head around whether this was supposed to be all about Steve, or whether this was all about all the great things that the library trustees do. So anyway.
Yeah, it wasn't really clear to me either when I didn't get it until you sent it to me, and so then I wasn't quite sure what.
You didn't get something from the town?
Yeah,
That's not different.
Did we all get something from the town?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I got something, but I didn't get this particular thing about
It
tables.
should show up in the item, maybe, on the website.
I would hope it's on the town website. This seems like a big deal.
Oh, yeah, I knew about the date, I knew that there was an event, but I did not get, this came specifically to the Board of Trustees, inviting the board specifically.
Yeah, Sherry Dalton sent it on April 29th. To participate. We're inviting public and private volunteer groups to express their gratitude for Steve's contribution to their mission in a display that shows the organization's role in the community while celebrating Steve Mayo's 17 years of service. So, not that we have any objects to display.
We have a treasure room. Any pictures of Steve in there?
I think you need to do a poster, like.
We've digitized that item before.
Like a diorama?
I want a volcano.
Sense.
Can you do a volcano? Of course.
Yeah. I'll run across the next poster book.
You can all sign it.
Get his face on some jars of honey.
We're being recorded.
Yeah.
I can see it like that.
I think the poster would be appropriate.
Does he have a library card? Book tote and a library card.
Go play to library.
Now we're at time.
So we don't have we don't have that kind of, we don't have the gold plated library card, but.
Friends membership.
So, moving on.
So yeah, I saw no other correspondence in the packet.
No.
Alright. We'll move along. Committee reports, budget.
I don't think any committees have met, because there hasn't been anything. There really isn't anything, is there? We're kind of in.
We're still on the same trajectory in terms of expending 25, and 26 is in process.
I did like I know we talked a lot about it last time, I did like
The blue thing.
the pictures and the layout.
I made that with Stephanie when she was hired. Stephanie's the bookkeeper.
It's helpful.
Anything else on budget? Okay, building and grounds, we talked a little bit before we got going about the stairs, we're just waiting on some bricks. Now, are they trying to match the existing bricks, or bricks just hard to come by?
Right, whatever it is, it's called a water, it's a water barrier or something. So they need particular bricks for that. And they had to be ordered and they're having trouble getting them. So it's taking time.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
I was surprised, but I think it's a particular kind of brick.
Yeah, it literally
So
took
they-
care of all the heavy lifting.
Yeah. So they're gonna fill it in and have a portion open so that we'll be able to use that door. And then once the bricks come, they'll close it back up again and do the work. And I think it will be just one day.
Okay.
Once those bricks come. I'm sure he wants to be done too.
Sure, they look
Yeah.
tantalizingly close.
I know, so close. And I don't think there's anything else, the yard work is gonna be done. We had put that off a little bit. And the marquee is in process a little bit, we're talking to somebody about that.
Does the town do pest control on the outside of the perimeter yard?
No, but I do it, because we had, our grants.
I was saying that, we just walked through the grass today to take a peek at the steps, and the ant hills across the entire lawn are like out of control.
Really?
Like, I didn't wanna stand on the grass, there's a million ant hills.
Really?
My yard is like that too right
Yeah.
now, so I don't know if it's a seasonal thing, but like we had Bay State come out.
They did what was here, and they come once a year to check to make sure, because we had them in the building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like before last year, when people are all sitting on the
So
grass.
Dave probably hasn't noticed it because he hasn't been out there because they've been doing the plaza. He said that to me, that, we have a lot of weeds and
Yeah.
it really needs to be done. So, yeah, we haven't seen it, because we've been out there. I'll tell him.
It's ant.
All right. Thanks for taking a look at the grounds.
It's my fault.
Okay, Friends, I was on Friends Day this month, and I went to their meeting. They rolled over their CD. They were still counting money from the book sale, or no, I'm sorry, they're discussing the counting process for the book sale. We hadn't had the actual sale yet at that point, I believe. They're moving more honey than they've ever moved before. I think that's great. If the Friends turns into a honey middleman and that funds the library, that's terrific. The time membership and publicity, they talked about there was a very nice piece in the daily item supporting the library. It was great that they recognized that. They were working on the newsletter. The focus that they talked about was on volunteers, talking about all the roles you can fulfill with Friends. They wanted to specifically highlight some younger folks that historically have been overlooked in the Friends organization. And the director asked for $15,000 for Plaza Jazz and summer reading from the Friends, and that was approved. I think that's all I had for notes from the Friends.
Do we know how the book sale went in general, or is that a town?
I haven't heard anything about it, which is a little unusual, but I haven't heard from anybody about it. There is not as of that meeting, the nominating committee didn't have a president and vice president.
Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't identified some, and both those people are stepping down, they have other obligations, so.
So if we know someone, send them to the next meeting?
I don't know, it sounded like they want somebody with some experience, which everybody with experience is at the table and nobody's gonna do it, so it was kind of a circular conversation there.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens next, but they're in a really good place, you know, it's the,
Absent no leadership.
aside from the fact that.
Sometimes that's what it takes.
But that leadership got them to a really, really good place, so,
Yeah, I mean,
I
at the
need
end
to
of,
backtrack now.
at the end of the book sale potentially on the horizon or in the rearview, you know, they have enough runway and enough money to pivot to something else.
Did they say when they're kicked out of the herd?
They didn't, they're not, I will say that they're not feeling welcome at the herd as it is. So I think they're probably looking to move out, as quickly as they can. It's some issues with, someone, getting into the building when they weren't, yes, and the response from the town was uneven, I'll say, to put words in their mouth. So I think they're probably, again, putting words in their mouth, looking to get out of there.
They're kind of in a decommissioned building, and the town administrator is retiring. And I don't think he wants to pass this on to the next person, I think he wants to probably have it settled, and, you know, they are using it for storage. When you have DPW guys using a space for storage, that's different from residents using it for, you know, a sale of book storage. It's not really a building that's, no, it's not, it's, so if people are breaking into it or.
Well, I think you mentioned,
Yeah, I was
not a
wondering if they had
habitable
like an
space, I
official-
think that was
yeah.
the issue, is that someone's living in the herd. So.
Yeah, I think somebody get in there.
Yeah, there are people living in the lakes too.
Yeah. Anyway.
Redevelopment coming soon, Chris. That's what the sign says.
I saw the sign.
The sign says redevelopment coming soon.
Do you see the condition of that sign too? It looks like it's been there.
It's been there for a long time. They put it up, they
Oh,
got yelled at
that's right.
before, it was like 4th of July 2021. Town council said, hey, we're tired of watching the 4th of July parade and right in front of this derelict building. And they said, okay, we'll fix up the
I
side.
had heard when they do the review stand this year, there should be a construction site across the way.
I thought the Boys and Girls Club was gonna do that.
When the camera turns off, I'll talk more about that.
Suggested we wait after the 4th of July, and I think the town administrator said that will soon please. So I believe that will happen for the 4th of July.
That would be that.
Yeah, it is, it's a scary looking.
I noticed
place now.
I got my once in a decade double friends year.
Oh.
Because there's 10 meetings and 9 trustees, so every 10 years a blue moon happens and you get 2 in a year. And I'm just the lucky guy who gets to do 2 this year.
I think I'm on the hook.
Goodbye, scratch
for-
ticket.
Yeah.
The leap
I'm
from.
confused as to like who's going up next.
Yeah, I think I'm 2 in a row, because, last one was supposed to be Jackie, but she decided not to run again. And I was the backup, so now I'm primary.
And it goes by alphabetical order, so sometimes it changes a little bit, sometimes it moves a little bit.
Oh, Jenny, or last name.
I think it's the last name.
No, because it wouldn't go to tally then.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Good.
yeah, it's the last name.
So you are okay to go again next time?
I'm tentatively okay to go again next week.
You wanna see how the saga continues?
I gotta see what happens. I got left on a cliffhanger.
The season ends.
Right.
Do they meet over the summer or do they break for the summer like we do?
I think they slow down, but I think they do meet.
Okay, because I saw the first meeting was September.
Oh,
so-
yeah, they do break for
June
the
is the
summer.
last.
I don't think they need July and August. I don't think so.
If you go to 2 meetings in a row, I think that counts as experience and you might be
Is
president.
that allowed
in their bylaws? Like, does he be president?
Yeah, I'm just saying, so,
Yeah.
if you check the bylaws.
The bylaws didn't say.
Our
These ones,
bylaws,
oh,
they
I didn't know
don't-
about that.
I think if anyone in your household has already been a friend's president,
Yeah.
you're exempt
I'm
from
exempt.
that.
That's
I
right.
don't see any paperwork on that, we'll have Jackie check.
All right, let's move on to the next item, gift funds.
We got a gift, I didn't report that anywhere. We got a gift from Ellie Creedon, who they're very generous and they give us a gift almost every year now. And that goes to First Financial.
Okay.
So that will probably show up in next report.
Very good.
That was the Patrick Curlin.
She says that's not the name on the fund.
No, that was a bequest, that was different. So Mrs. Creedon is, she and her husband donate pretty regularly, and he has since passed away and she's continued to donate.
Where does this fall on the chart? Is this unrestricted?
It goes under unrestricted, and I do have a list of everything that's part of unrestricted, and it's just the columns are hidden.
Oh,
And First Financial has that on the report of what is inside unrestricted, all those different gifts.
Do we, this isn't gifts necessarily, but because I included Catherine, the grants the library has received over the past 25 years. That spreadsheet, I think it was just kind of, that was a follow-up to Adam's question from the last meeting, I think about giving some context of what we relied on for gifts and stuff. Am I remembering that?
Was that because of the
The
LSTA?
Yeah,
That's because the federal, which
Yeah.
federal grant, yeah, so I separated out that federal money, and that was about $76,000 over the last 25 years.
And it was just kind of just based on the titles of these, I was kind of checking off ones that seemed that they were for youth programs, like summer reading programs, early childhood. I was like, nearly half of them, or just less than half of them were.
People always, when you look at the gift funds too, a lot of them are for children.
Okay.
People want to donate to childhood literacy.
Yeah, that's good.
I saw we have a very specific gift fund for riflery. What do you use that for?
For what?
Riflery?
Yeah, that's oh, I can't remember his name now.
James Keogh, it says.
Yes, so he's, there's stuff of his in our archive. He was an award-winning riflery person, he won all kinds of awards in France, he was a military man. And he lived in Wakefield, and he left, it was maybe $1,000 or something. And at one time, there was a case with all his medals and everything in the library. And I'm not sure where that went, it's probably at the Historical Society. But it's become very difficult to buy those books because it's not really, like, we refer to them as the gun books, but it's not really gun books, he was a sharpshooter. And so the request is for like sharpshooting type things, and there's not that much written on that's new. So, I haven't extended that in a while.
Yes, it's very specific.
Someone did come in one day and wanted to know what had happened to the gun collection, because he had gone into the military as a sharpshooter because of that collection. And, I don't know if a lot of it got weeded, and, I don't know, but I've tried to build it up and it just isn't that much there.
But, I mean, this was a 1949 gift, but nowadays, if somebody said, here's $2,500, you have to use it for this very specific thing, we would kindly request that they maybe.
Oh, no, we just take it,
Even if it's a,
yeah. Well, you can
Slingshot fund?
You can try to explain how difficult it is, but there are a couple here that are not that, not a lot of money, that were added to like year over year over year, and 90% of it was expendable and 10% has to go back. So that is now at First Financial, and I had to sit with Janice and say, okay, this one, every year, you have to take 90% goes here and 10% goes back to the principal. And so, and the town has a couple of those too. There are so many of them to really keep track of. And I get letters from Bank of America wanting me to verify that I have stamped certain books. Like we have stamps and a certain number of, like, all of the science books are stamped with a BB who had given money for that particular thing. So we kind of have to keep track of all those things.
Typically, I mean, again, you never want to say no money, right? But typically you have a threshold under which it's basically like it's either unrestricted or like, again, $2,500 was a lot more than it is now. And if somebody said, here's $50,000, I want Pokemon books to the, you know, you're gonna say thank you and we're gonna have a great Pokemon collection. But like, I would just, you know, if somebody said, hey, here's $500, but you have to use it on X, I feel like there's gotta be a threshold under which.
We would actually do it if we didn't have to invest it. If somebody gave $500 and said, invest this and use the interest on Pokemon books, we might have to say, that's gonna be very difficult. But if somebody gave $500 and said, we want this for Pokemon books, I would put it in a town account and just spend it on Pokemon books.
There's
And
no
we would
statute
have
of
the
limitations.
best Pokemon collection in the state.
There's no like statute of limitations, so if it's 2049 and we're still have this rivalry
Right, there's
section,
no way to change it.
it's just in
Depends on the
perpetuity.
language of the original, I mean. The long answer is there's yes, you can usually argue that the usefulness of that gift or you expend it and everything like that, but it's like a best practice versus like a legal thing. Are you ever gonna get sued by James Keto with his heirs?
Right.
Maybe not, but
Sometimes you can get, it seems to me that it's happened that they've had permission to, but like some of these funds are made up of tons and tons and tons of other little funds from the 20s and the teens or whatever. And we have that documentation. There's a lot of it, it's hard to go through, but it's there. But because it wasn't restricted, it was easier to blend it.
and sometimes you go back to the original wording and you know, we've been interpreting it like this, but how else could you interpret this wording? So that like, is it target sports altogether or is it just target referee? So.
Right.
All right, good discussion. Anything else on gift funds? I don't think so. Legislative advocacy, so the Senate passed a version of the state budget that reconciled with the House and assumes that all that doesn't go up by line of federal money. But the library was level funded year over year, or the MBLC was, and their line items were level funded year over year.
I think so. Something got a little more, but I think MBLC was level funded. There was an email that came today. There's a something pending about it's legislation to protect. It's sort of like anti-book banning, and to protect librarians against being prosecuted for collecting. So that's currently being discussed. That's live right now, they're working on that.
Are they still trying to hammer something out about the cost to libraries of electronic materials?
The e-books. Another state, I think it was Connecticut, just passed something that they think is legal and will work. It's not, when I read it, I thought, well, this doesn't really help. And I think Massachusetts is gonna try to copy that. I think what it does, appalling, right? They said it prevents you from spending public money on it if it's not at a fair price. So it looks like we wouldn't be able to purchase them unless they came up with a fair model.
That's not great.
But I think if it's the only way they can, if you had enough people doing it, it
Yeah.
would probably force them to say.
Maybe all the publishers will be visited by 3 ghosts. So, okay, yeah, thanks for the update on that. Anything else for legislative advocacy?
Do we want any of them to come visit us? Like, no,
Do we want one?
not the ghosts, but that. I mean, I can reach out and ask the question about what's going on with the e-books thing, just to sort of ask the question.
That might not be bad. And that reminds me, I actually did, I emailed our representatives to thank them for the money for the stairs.
For the stairs, yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
So yeah,
something I'll take.
I do one thing a year is to sure like playback.
Yeah, something to put that front of mind for them.
Just can do some of those tomorrow.
Okay, I'll ask my sister.
Exactly.
Do you want me to send you that email that I got today about the, whatever was going on? Yeah, the woman who is the executive director of Noble is on the advocacy committee for Massachusetts Library.
And to be fair to our legislators, every time I've had a brief conversation, they're like, yeah, we love the library. You don't need to like lobby us, like we're there.
They're all very supportive.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of focusing on what's gonna actually work, and I think sometimes they have trouble with that. Finding something that, you know, there were things that looked good and they've just gone back to committee, you know, they kind of.
Okay, moving on to personnel.
I think in June, we'll talk about, you're gonna be redoing, in new business, you'll be redoing stuff. But I do know that at the last meeting, you talked about redoing the evaluation, so I have that on the agenda for June.
Okay. Sounds good.
Can I ask you a question about personnel? The evaluation we did, were we all supposed to sign?
Yeah, I have it with me.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a bunch of things to
Just
sign,
to say, there
actually,
wasn't something
so
else in the packet?
there's gonna be a couple of things to sign, yeah, so I'll pass them all around.
See, I'm kind of printed up on this signing with these kind of things.
So, on the new business, under the annual board reorganization, we do have signatures for accounting. I don't know if we wanted, since we're already talking about that, to take care of that. Or do we need to know who the chair is before we do that?
Oh, yeah, we do need to know who the chair is.
Alright. So we'll do, committees and chairs, take it in order. I believe everyone saw in the packet who is on the current committees and who the current chairs are, we're in bold.
Should we give an overview of the committees or
Yeah.
the trustees?
That,
They're pretty straightforward, but just.
That sounds great. So we have the executive committee, that's the chair, the vice chair, and the secretary. Budget is, if there's some kind of quick turn item that Catherine needs help from the trustees to hammer something out with the budget. We have a few folks in on that. Facilities is, it used to be just the physical grounds, but now we have a lot of IT stuff that doesn't really fall anywhere else, kind of falls under there. If you're on the facility subcommittee, you get to go up on the roof. So we have friends liaisons is rotating. Gift funds, I don't think gift funds has met in a minute. Never?
They have to sign stuff, you get to go to First Financial Trust and sign stuff.
Oh, that's right, okay.
We get the funds.
So, yeah, I mean, so you have even more stewardship over the money, essentially. Legislative advocacy is mostly sending emails. And personnel, it's probably seen the most action out of all of that. They handle initial negotiation of the director's contract. In the event that we need a new director, they go out and find one. So that's kind of where we're at. We haven't had to do that in
And the
a while.
evaluation, now that's.
Oh, and the evaluation, so that's really where the heavy lifting is, it seems like.
So that's why we signed up for that one.
Yeah.
Welcome to the team.
And just for everyone's awareness, we have vacancies wherever, but specifically have vacancies on budget and gift funds. That's where Jackie had been signed up. Oh, but that doesn't mean that folks can't move around.
Those were both ones that had full control water.
That is also true, so we don't necessarily, we need at least 3 on each of these, but we don't have to replace Jackie on those 2, but that's where we have it now. Okay, so I'll open it up to the group. How do we want to tackle this? Do we want to start with the executive? Do we want to start with the other committees?
Let's start with executive and just hold that as is.
I'll nominate you to be chair again.
Okay.
I think the whole slate would be
I would
nice.
be inclined to support the slate.
Yes, slate.
Well,
Second.
that depends if everyone on the executive committee wants to continue in those roles.
I heard yay.
I've heard of it, so I'm fine.
Thinking, what on is wrong with these people? I don't know why I'm so.
What did I do?
I like taking the.
Yay.
I think you know nobody else, but I also very much appreciate when I'm not here and someone else is doing, so thank
I don't think I'm here enough to be the secretary.
You let me do it one time.
you. Still waiting for it.
Yeah.
You know,
I did a better job filling in for Jeff than I did filling in for you.
I'm not bad at notes, I can probably fill it for you.
All right, are there any other nominees, any other discussion? If not, there is a motion to renominate the existing executive committee. And a second?
Second.
If there's no other, thank you, if there's no other discussion, we'll vote. Amy?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Laura? Sue?
Yes.
Karen? Dan?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
And yes, that is unanimous.
See, Scott wasn't here, so that we should have made him chair.
Missed the trick.
Yeah.
Oh, we better work it out.
Could somebody just like text him and say, oh, we voted for the secretary, just for fun? Could they do that just for fun?
I think legislative advocacy is calling his name.
Okay, so, yeah, so we can start at the top and head down, and I'll put it to you, Karen. If you feel free to speak up wherever you think you have some interest and wanna join in, we can definitely make it work, even if there's already 4
I mean,
on the,
As Adam said, you know, my job is an HR manager, so that's kind of where I figured that the personnel subcommittee made the most sense to join in, and apart from that, I'm fairly open to whatever you need.
So, a I'm happy to serve, continue to serve on the budget committee. I think perhaps this coming year there'll be, more need for the committee just because we're gonna be seeing some new, financials and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's a good point. We may be needing to,
I'm not gonna pronounce myself chairman. But
no,
I'll take it if someone can.
I'll move for you to be chair for the budget committee.
Oh, well, thank you.
so do we need to, vote on these one by one?
I think why don't you start and say, do you wanna stay on the budget here?
Okay, I can
And that's
absolutely,
kind of,
thank you.
that's kind of what we've done,
So-
some people like to switch.
Good idea. So I'd like to stay on, thank you.
Okay, and we have, Laura, Jackie, and Adam. Laura and Adam, are you interested in
Happy to stay.
continuing on the budget committee?
I'm neutral, so if somebody else wants to stay on it, or
I
try it, or.
I think even if you did, we would still be at 3 versus the 4 that we started the day with. So,
I mean, I'm happy to take Jackie's position and
that's
have someone to mentor me on budgets.
very good.
She learn something. Fine.
All right, so we'll have Dan, Laura, Adam, and Karen proposed for budget. Should we vote on that? Do we know?
I think last year we just sorted it all out.
And then vote on it.
Okay.
Okay.
Then that way, if you
Yeah.
change it later, we don't have, Laura doesn't have to.
Yeah.
They amended their vote
Time to
to.
drop this.
Yeah.
So you're the chair now again, so whatever you like to think.
So who was the budget? You're leaving that the same or
So we're
Karen will take Jackie's spot.
Karen
Yeah.
is taking?
Karen goes otherwise the same. Okay, facilities,
Oh, yes, you do.
I'm happy to continue, I don't need to be chair, I inherited that from Tim Ely back in the day.
And you've done it very well.
Well, thanks. So Chris, are you still?
I should also be inclined to remain on the committee and give you as chair.
Okay, and Scott's not here to defend himself, so he's stuck with us.
So do you want Scott to be the chair?
I could nominate Scott to be the chair. You're so inclined.
Yeah, well, I don't know, it's fun as a joke, I don't wanna saddle him with anything.
Well, it is, recognizing that the chair does do other things, it is probably not usually, I wouldn't usually say it's also a good idea for you to be the chair if we may.
Okay,
So
no, that makes sense.
for your sake, too.
Yeah. So well, since you're here, Chris, let's start, do you wanna be chair of the, Scott is the chair.
He's abstaining again.
Tell me how promoted.
Yeah.
It's not like how you frame it.
Okay, so we have, Scott, Jeff, Chris on facilities, with Scott as the chair. Friends liaison is rotating, gift funds, currently we have, Scott, Amy, Jackie, and Susan.
So, Amy, would you be, now that we just anointed Scott the chair of the other one?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, can I be vice chair and also chair of the
Yes.
subcommittee?
Yes,
Is changing the chair of that going to make everybody sign papers again?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
And then-
Yeah, I don't care, that's fine. We have a pretty hefty meeting schedule, but, it'll work.
Okay, so we don't need to replace Jackie, but is anyone interested in jumping on there? Okay, so then that board becomes Amy, Scott, Susan, with Amy as the new chair. Very good. Moving right along, legislative advocacy, we have Adam, Dan, Jeff, Adam is the chair.
I'm gonna stay.
I'll be happy to stay.
Yeah, I'll stay on the committee too, so that is unchanged. Okay. And then the last one, personnel, and our chair is Susan, Chris, Amy, and Scott.
I'd like to stay as chair because it's been so much fun so far.
I'd like to stay on that one just because I have
It's
history.
having-
I think you're a fabulous chair.
I totally agree.
Is having 5 people too many people?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I say if Scott,
Well, just Karen's jumping on that.
Right, I don't wanna kick Scott off without him having a chance to say that he was interested or not, I guess.
we can take
But
Scott
you
off
guys
if
did
he's
so-
already on gift funds.
You guys did so
and
much work this year that
facilities.
it feels like, you guys did so much work as a group this year, right?
Every year, that's it.
Yeah,
I
I mean-
like it.
Yeah, there's that whole union
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
There's been something every year,
Valuation
so
year.
I mean, if we're gonna overload one committee, that's
Or you could
probably.
take Scott off.
yeah, that's,
Well,
That's
I'm
what
gonna
he
take
just
Well,
said.
leave him on, and then if he wants to not, now that he's the chair of the committee, he can always remove himself there.
no, we have to do it now.
Revote.
Yeah.
I think you have to do it now.
Is it just gonna do some text over those kids?
I mean, does everyone have two?
Yeah, Scott, I was just checking that. and-
Yeah,
for
from
me.
some facilities.
So, I mean, you just have 5 people on there.
And then he's good friends as well.
Yeah.
He's got 3, right?
Gift
So
funds
he-
and
he-
facilities.
Yeah,
right?
and he's got a chair facilities. Yeah, so we can rotate Scott off. There's no issue having an even number, you didn't run into any issues with that?
No, we take it out, we're good.
Okay, so we can go with Susan, Amy, Chris, and Karen. Susan is the chair.
Is Amy staying on that?
Yes.
Okay, so Susan, Chris, Amy, and Karen, right?
Did you see your chair almost cut you right out of that? He almost cut you out of this group.
What did I do?
He didn't say his name.
I know, that's why I said it.
Yes.
Susan will let me out of it.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
I guess I will make a motion to amend the committees as just right. You got them all right?
And we will count on
Is
her.
there a second?
I'll second. Second the slate. Do the kids get this? Was part of the land.
All right, if there's no other discussion, we'll go ahead and vote on that. Amy,
Yes.
Adam,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes,
Chris? Yes. I'm yes. This is unanimously.
So I'm gonna update this for next month's meeting, and if you, so that you'll have another look at it again, and Scott can decide what happened to him. And so if you have any changes on your, address and phone and all that,
I'm glad you reminded me, I do,
okay.
so I'll send that to my, it's a landline, which does not exist.
So,
Are you moving? I didn't know you
Isn't
were
that,
moving.
isn't that the best kind of phone number to put on this list?
Catherine, I have a quick question about the open meeting law. If we decide as subcommittees here to have a meeting, do we have to go through the procedure?
Yes.
Yes, it has to be posted,
Posted,
and it has to be taped,
okay,
yeah, it's the whole thing,
Does it have to be like on Zoom?
yeah.
Unless it's an executive session.
Yeah.
so,
It
so,
needs a manifest that he said it was on and then we said it was executive and then. Cause I was curious.
But
That's why we don't
executive
meet that
session
often.
is very few things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but most of the personnel
Salaries.
stuff, yeah, was executive session.
Whatever was supposed to be.
Yeah, it's, well, yeah, because it was, what's, I forget the word. Not that it's personal, but it's, strategic. It's strategic and you don't wanna, that's when you do it.
All right, so that's the committees and chairs. So the next two lines are signers and signatures for accounting. What is the signers?
So signers underneath where it's, where we just read about the committees, accounts payable and payroll has been me, Jackie, and Susan. And I wanna replace Jackie with, Megan Kinton.
Right.
And, then there's this document that's legal, and I put it in the packet. So it just took Jackie out and put Megan in. So you would be voting to designate and authorize me, Megan, or Susan to sign the payroll. So any one of us would sign payroll. And me, Megan, or 5 trustees would sign the warrant of accounts payable. So when we pay the bills at the end of the week, if Megan or I cannot sign, 5 trustees have to sign. I don't remember the last time that happened. I mean, it was way before Jan, it was a long time ago. And I don't know that you've ever had to come in and do payroll, maybe once. Once, yeah. So it's rare that it happens, but
It's good that we have the procedure.
Yeah.
But I have experience.
So if you vote on the signature thing, then you can sign.
Oh, okay, so we have to vote this. Okay, so is there a motion to update the signers form as presented?
Second.
Okay, and seconded, and if there's no other discussion, just go ahead and vote. Amy?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Karen? Dan?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Yes, that passes unanimously. Send that around,
Okay, so
actually sign.
there's 2 there to sign.
Doesn't matter which line, or 1 second.
You just don't sign at the first line here.
Don't sign that one?
That's all right, just do it. I actually did.
Do you have a second copy?
You are now the
Because I'm
director.
only halfway through.
You are now the director.
This one I'm gonna sign right at my name.
Easier.
Oh, there must be one in here. Because I gave one to everyone. I have here.
Oh, no, this
Oh, you know what, that was good, I copied on 2 sides.
Alright.
So you want me to-
I'm gonna copy you one. I had another.
It doesn't say director of what?
We can't sign this because we didn't do goals yet.
No, I didn't think it was
That's
ready
gonna
for
be,
signature, but
Yeah,
I
that's
think we
gonna
have
be-
to do it in June.
right. I did 2 of those.
Because I don't want to sign the first line, I'm afraid.
So let's try it down there.
What's that?
Every 10 minutes of like, read your best book.
8:25.
Do you have a hot tea?
Ice cream.
They're open until 10.
No, at home.
They're open till all time.
Leave before I get 7. I need to eat.
is one of the longer meetings, although we usually when they present the summer program. But although that they were,
Oh, it's
pretty
really
quick,
short.
it's
Yeah,
not,
yeah.
yeah, it's been.
We got here early and of course I was like, should be a quick one, like we just sort of okay the holiday schedule, okay the.
Which did you square up the schedule?
Can we?
Yeah, we
So
did.
we
Yeah,
did,
so-
and you did that vote.
Did we,
All
so,
it is approving stuff you read.
yeah. Did anyone have any comments on the meeting schedule for next year?
You sign as chairman and then pass it
I
on.
sign here.
So don't book the meetings, that's what I have to do.
What does it say?
My coup d'etat failed.
Paper revolution.
Is that
It
big?
was- it was for tax.
Vacation starts on the 14th.
Okay, so yeah,
Yes.
I like that you looked at me though, Jen.
well, if anybody was gonna know the dates,
I know the dates. I looked at them, I did.
Sorry.
anywhere but where Andy signed, got it.
Save me that top spot.
Alright, that's what's going.
So, while we're signing, I'm sorry, is there any discussion on the meeting schedule? Sounded like we're okay.
Yeah, the boys for the school vacation.
Christmas, when's
so-
December one?
17th, that's before that.
Yeah. So we have a long Christmas break this year. Yeah. 2 full weeks.
Okay,
Busy travel week.
so is there a motion to accept the meeting schedule?
Yes, I move that.
Second. As far as signing.
I know.
Yeah.
So,
Meeting
Dan,
schedule.
Dan, we can.
Thank you.
And we'll just go around and vote on that. Amy,
Yes.
Adam,
Yes.
Laura, Susan,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Chris? Yes. I'm a yes. Meeting schedule is no longer draft. Holiday schedule.
The only thing unique on the holiday schedule is Christmas of 2026 is a Friday. And you may remember that I have the holiday schedule that goes back to, I don't know, the beginning, dawn of time, what we've done. And there wasn't really an example that included Sunday, the open on Sundays. So I'm suggesting that we close like at 1 o'clock on Thursday, which is normal, and then Friday, Christmas Day, and Saturday, which is normally what we do because people work one or the other and no one's coming in then. But I think Sunday might be good too because it makes sense to be closed for the full weekend and it would actually save us a little money. And this might be a year when we wanna do that.
that would be 3.5 days if having the library closed.
Right. Right.
I think that makes sense.
So it would be half a day on Thursday, and it would, that's when the town is gonna be closed too. So the only day that's different is the Sunday. We weren't always open on Sundays, but when we were, we would be open, so we'd be closed on the 25th, we'd be closed on the 26th, and then we'd open that Sunday afternoon.
Would we be doing the same thing a week later because Friday?
Right, but I'm not doing it that week because we're not even gonna close on Saturday.
We're not gonna close Saturday, January 2nd.
No, we could, but I think.
I should have heard you do
I don't
like 2
think
4-day
we'll
weekends.
accept
that.
First.
I think that's a good compliment. Thanks for pointing that out, Amy, because I was having a tough time doing these. That's a lot, but if we're just doing the day and a half for New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, I think that balances out.
Yeah, we're more likely to get people on,
The weekend before they go back to school,
yeah,
yeah.
that January 2nd. Like I said, there's no precedent for that Sunday, so you don't have to do it. I just thought because it's not in the payroll, Sundays are paid as they're worked. So if those hours are not used, we would pay.
And so for July 4th, similarly, you'll be closed Friday, Saturday, and Sunday because we're not open on Sundays in the summer.
We're not open on Sunday in the summer.
But it's just closed Friday.
No, it's Friday, Saturday.
Oh,
Sunday.
days
Yeah,
Saturday.
we're closed both, yeah. And that follows previous practice.
That's because third is the observed holiday.
Friday.
Friday's
Friday,
the
Friday,
holiday, first Saturday of the week holiday.
Yeah, and for us, the full-time people work Friday or Saturday. They work one or the other.
Okay.
So the precedent has always been that there's certain, that you'll do both under certain circumstances. Like we don't after Thanksgiving. Cause Thanksgiving's on a Thursday, so we work Friday and Saturday.
So the one thing I'm curious about, just for Thanksgiving, you're closing at 5 o'clock on Wednesday, but all the other days you're closing at 1 o'clock? So.
I have no idea why that is. I have no idea why that is, but it's been precedent. We could close at 1. I don't know if people would find that more I think people come in, I don't know.
I wonder, I mean, for folks sticking around town, it might be good.
Yeah,
Like it makes
Because-
sense to me on
because-
Christmas and New Year's because you do activities Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve,
right.
Thanksgiving Eve, I mean, unless you're the one cooking.
Right,
A lot of
you're
people
cooking or
travel.
shopping.
Well, yeah, and then in
A
which
lot
case
of
they're not
people
coming here anyway.
So I'm definitely gonna forget this.
It's not a problem for the staff because if they're traveling, they're taking the time off.
Right.
So, it's never been a problem to staff it. It's just sometimes expectations are weird, what do people expect?
If we could keep track of how many people actually show up
Oh,
this year,
we do.
but between 1 and 5.
Oh, yeah, it's quiet, it will be quiet. But there'll be someone here.
Well,
Yeah.
I like to keep the library open, so.
Yeah, you and
Me and Jack.
Jack, yeah.
So
After Thanksgiving, it's busy.
Sure.
It's so busy that's when we do trivia.
Oh, yeah.
Because people will bring in, people from out of town might have company or whatever, or, they'll wanna get people out of the house, they'll send them up.
Well, yeah.
Go down Main Street,
Yeah. Black Friday's not really a thing anymore.
So I guess I will move to approve this holiday schedule.
Great, is there a second?
Second.
Unless there's any other discussion, we'll go ahead and vote. Amy?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
I'm a yes, passes unanimously. We have a policy regarding service to uncertified library patrons. Is that for reference based on last discussion, or?
Yes, it's in effect, this is a policy that's in effect, it's never been changed or, I think it's a great policy. I think Sharon wrote it, I can hear her voice in it. But what I like about it is that it explains the reasoning. It doesn't just say you can't come, it explains the reasoning really nicely. And I will say that I heard from 2 directors who spoke to that at meetings, this policy's on our website and it was pulled up. And when they saw it, they said, oh, and they started talking more about how they were gonna solve their problems.
They pulled up the Wakefield
They
policy.
pulled up this Wakefield policy, so in meetings with the people who were funding, the directors were able to say, you're not gonna be able to go to Wakefield's. But I think part of the persuasion is how well this is written, that it tells you why. You know, it's kind of embarrassing to not be pulling your weight. And you don't have to be certified, you can have a waiver. And this is something that we talked about at Noble, that the MBLC is very generous with its waivers. You just have to be showing that you're trying. They understand that, you know, things happen and you build a $1 million building and all of a sudden you don't have money for anything else. I mean, stuff happens. So they do their best to help you be certified. So the towns that aren't certified is because they're disproportionately cutting the library. And it's not fair to everybody else who's putting it in.
What discretion do the directors have? You say the directors pulled it up in Stoneham and they did a double take about the shutdown. Is that what?
They were talking about, yeah, their options.
Yeah.
And so
Were they
the
able to?
director said, you know, there are libraries that won't be available to you.
Yeah.
Other libraries won't be available to people in this town.
Right.
And then she was able to show them this policy because it was on the website. And they could actually see, well, yeah, the Board of Trustees in Wakefield are saying it, you know, library service is immeasurably enhanced by cooperative efforts.
Yeah.
And if we're not part of that cooperative effort, they're not gonna serve our population. And it became a factor, you have to think about that. I mean, I think maybe they thought, well, while we're writing this out, people will just go elsewhere. And, they won't, actually.
The difficulty I've got with it, and it's a moot point, because it seems like it's determined elsewhere, is simply that it punishes people who had no control over the circumstances. I mean, the patrons of the Stoneham Library were not the ones that caused it to go into decertification. I mean, they're taxpayers, so maybe they had that effect, but otherwise. But again, it's a moot point. So, I mean, I'm just expressing my
But I think
disagreement
that's,
with the policy.
I think that's the case with everything. That if it's a political decision, that's why we have an advocacy committee. If it's a political decision, you have to advocate for what's important to you. So they talk about, packing town meeting, which I don't think you're packing town meeting if you decided this is important enough to me to go. So if you have kids in the public schools and there's something on that agenda, you go to make sure that happens. And I understand, and the people at the desk, it's awful for them to have to say that we won't serve you. But the flip side of it is Wakefield goes above and beyond to support its library.
Sure.
Why should they be sharing everything with people who don't support theirs? It's a cost to us.
What's the process that takes them out of certification? Some state.
They're not meeting the standards, which include your hours open, the amount of money you spend on materials, and the total amount that is appropriated by tax levy.
And the MLBC is the one, the determining body that decides.
There's a formula, and the MBLC was behind that formula, but all the libraries in the state were involved in the creation of the formula.
So the trustees of the library don't get a say in the certification, obviously. I mean, basically, it's the quality of the conditions that determine it.
Right.
Not the.
You fill out a form.
It's not a vote of the
So
trustees.
over the summer, I'll have to fill out a form, and Jeff will have to sign it once again, that shows everything that we expended, everything that came in and everything that we expended. And it goes, all the numbers go in certain places so that you're comparing apples to apples, because all libraries are a little different.
Okay.
And so a percentage of what the town gives you as an appropriation has to be spent on materials. And there's a formula that says if you have 25,000 people, 13% of that number has to be spent on books. And so everybody has a percentage that's based on their population.
Okay, thanks for covering it.
Yeah, it's a little bit like what the school does too, that it's a monetary, that chapter 70 is a formula. This is not as wild as chapter 70.
And this isn't even if they close, this is just if they're decertified, which is looking like the more likely scenario. So this policy is pretty much gonna probably come into play.
Probably not for 6 months at least, because I think they're trying to, I think she's got enough, from what I understand in Stoneham, she thinks she has enough money to get a waiver.
Right, so if there's a waiver,
You're
notice kicks in,
certified.
right?
Yeah, it just means that they're watching you in a different way, that you have not met the main formula, but you've met a similar formula, and within a certain amount of time, you'll improve. So it gives you a few years to get there.
And that first year is pretty forgiving in my limited experience, is it not?
Yeah,
So-
yeah, but the town is involved too, so if you get a waiver, the people who fund you have to go to the MBLC and say why.
That's the question I'm asking, the role of the town. That's
Yeah,
really,
so the
that's
town-
really the problem I've got.
If you're gonna be decertified, before that happens, the town manager has to go before the board
Okay,
and explain why they've done what they've done.
So Catherine, can I ask you a question then? This was written in 2004, is that when Saugus was was Saugus inspired by it, but Saugus was going?
No, that's probably just the last time they looked at it.
So when
It
that
was-
happened.
This was written before then, I believe.
Okay, so when Saugus was having issues, did it ever come to the point that they were uncertified and could not come here?
Yes,
Okay, so for
Yeah.
how long? Or could they still not?
I think it was 2 years.
Yeah, I found it last time we were talking about
Was
this.
it 2 years? Cause you looked it up.
They received waiver for 4 years and then they were decertified in 2007.
So the years that they
It
were,
was 2010?
So 2007, so they had 4 years of waivers and finally the state basically said no. And so in 2000, going into 2008, they were decertified. Wow.
so when they were waivers, they were allowed to come?
Yes.
And Linfield, are they coming to this point too? You
Yeah.
mentioned Linfield before.
They're,
They're
they're in dire straits.
Yeah, Stoneham is revoting on their override, I think, right?
Maybe they're changing the number.
No, so
I don't
some,
know.
they're having another override, but I think for our purposes, January would be the earliest that it would be. So I think that they'll get shut. They'll probably be certified for this fiscal year. The question is next fiscal year will they do that? And so just to follow it. So Saugus was decertified from 2007 to 2010. In 2010, they were recertified.
So it's a process.
Yeah.
We have precedent for it happening.
But it took them 4 years of being on the watch list before they
Right.
actually did it, right? So this could be 3 years down the road when it finally, if they
Same
continue
thing
to
can
not
happen.
fund.
This will be Karen's problem.
Yeah, well, Karen should have, 7 years from now, we'll be real good to go.
So this is really helpful to see the state doing, it's very clear, all states.
Yeah.
Like reading it was like, oh, this is like very straightforward.
Exactly. I mean, I have a lot of things that people vote for that I'm not crazy about here and have to stand by them. Powers that be,
Yeah.
like you say, advocate. If you want.
Okay, next item on the agenda is plaza access for Inspire Cafe.
So the trustees have control over the building and its grounds. And I've made an arrangement with Inspire Cafe. And so I realize that I don't know if I need you to approve it, but I think I do. I think that you should vote on it. We looked before, Sharon and I had tried to get somebody to do catering or serve food on the plaza, and it doesn't pay. It really doesn't pay, and so everybody who came and went to the thing to check it out, the town was involved. Paul Revis was involved. He helped her write a proposal, and a few people came and looked at it, and there were no bites. Nobody wanted to do it because they felt that they would make their money back. And then one person did it who was local, and it was a lot of work. I think he lost a lot of money. It didn't really work. So I had the idea of working with Inspire. And so I met with Tara, of whose last name I can't remember.
Kelly?
Thank you. And we talked about how we could make it work. And it wasn't going to work, and I said, how about if I cover the wages, I cover labor. So I'm gonna pay a small stipend for the labor, and they're gonna bring stuff that people can buy. Then I can use that, whatever that experience is, when I figure out what the sales are,
materials to check out or
and what it takes, all of that, I can use that, and then next year, if we wanna do it again, I can go to different businesses and say, do you wanna do it, once or twice or whatever, this is what happens, this is the experience that we got. I think if I didn't put in for the labor, that they would not be able to have done it. I don't think they could make it work. So what I need from you is, because they're selling on the plaza, you would need to approve their ability to do that.
So baiting the hook, how much do we expect to lay out for labor for this?
$700.
Per week?
For the
No,
season?
actually, it's $700 a month, so it'll be $1,400. But that's not written in stone because I'm not positive she's gonna do everyone. We think so,
Okay.
but maybe not.
Order of magnitude, $1,500.
And does that come out of the?
That would be the most,
Yeah.
that's the highest.
How many staff, when she said, do,
Yeah, it's 2 or 3. So the thing about staffing is that it also covers the people who are doing the prep beforehand,
sure,
and then
yeah,
the people who are actually
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
There's so much more involved in it than I realized. I mean, you kind of think all these things are involved, but the chance of losing is just so great. There's so many ways to lose that I really felt if I wanted to try the cost of the program to change the dynamics and to get people to actually be consuming food on the plaza, I feel like that's what I'm putting the money toward.
yeah.
It's the experiment and it's catering, it's almost like a catering.
So this isn't just like slush sales like they used to do at Festival Gala,
No, but we could do that.
but like
Because
the
I-
actual food items.
Yes, she actually said to me, a cold drink, a savory thing, a sweet thing, and like she had a whole, I was like, ooh, that's
I think it's a really good idea, because Plaza Jazz has kind of remained stable, and I, right from the beginning, we always were trying to get businesses involved and everything else.
yeah.
My question is, so I don't think that's a lot, I would support that, I think it's a great idea, but as long as the ants are gone, but, if it rains and it's indoors, would they not come?
They'll know in advance and they would come indoors.
It would be okay to,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
that doesn't change anything, the fact that food is coming in, okay,
No, I don't think so, because we'll do it in the gold room.
okay.
And everything is packaged, so when they bring it, it will all be packaged. And she said they only need 1 table.
It's a chance for them to advertise too, they can make a lot of advertising, mileage out of it.
Yeah. So I had tried to recruit the Friends to do this, because they're it would be a really good Friends thing.
Yeah.
And they didn't want, they thought that they would lose money, and they didn't wanna do it. So this also gives me data to bring to the Friends and say, this is what was our experience was.
Well, they certainly both sales.
We'll also see what happens when people they have an option like that. Have a sweet or a savory, or an
Or
ice,
sweet and
or,
savory.
oh yeah, or iced tea, or, whatever.
Do you have any?
No alcohol, just regular. So we gotta start small. We gotta- You just need that thing in your pocket.
It's BYO.
It's just a little hip stuff.
I'm for it, I think it's a great idea.
So based on our other experience dealing with Plaza Jazz and vendors in general, do you have what are your other concerns?
What are my other concerns?
Yeah, what are the other potential pitfalls? What else are you keeping an eye on?
Are they doing full cleanup, like,
Yeah.
just worst case scenario, there's
Yeah.
100 people, they're all buying food with wrappers and there's drips and there's spills. Who's
Yeah.
cleaning up, like, is the custodian staff of the library gonna be out there mopping melted slush off Plaza, where the ants get it, or
Probably,
picking up the wrappers that are blowing in the wind, you know what I mean?
probably, yeah, but we put the barrels out, you pick up as you go along, that hasn't really been a problem.
Yeah,
Because
it's not
we
the
encourage
rowdiest crowd, but it is.
No,
No,
we
but-
encourage people to eat before and that is it, and we have a hose. So you can pull a hose out there and do it, and that would be okay. So that's the kind of thing that, if that becomes a problem, then we find what the solution is, because I don't really anticipate that being a problem so much as,
And then in terms of the 1,500 or so, are you locked into that for the entire season, or if you found out on week 2, for some reason it just wasn't working out?
yeah, we're winging it. If it doesn't work out for either one of us,
It's a true experiment.
there's a true experiment. We don't have a contract, we just, it's like a handshake deal, it's just, you wanna try to do this.
So I want to be a good partner to them too, if they're just hemorrhaging money, I don't want to hold their feet to the fire. Drag
Oh,
it across
no,
the
like they
summer.
can't, I mean, she wouldn't be able to do it, so she took some time, we sat and I said what we wanted, and we tried to come up with a plan, and then she left and put the numbers together, and when she sent me the numbers, she said, you know, this is what it is. I said, you can't do it, you're not gonna be able to do it. So, that's when I said, what if I pay the labor? It's like I'm paying the musicians, I'm paying the sound guy, what if I pay the caterer? And so she said that would be great, because that minimizes her losses. If they don't sell anything, because there's a chance, you know, maybe nobody's gonna buy whatever it is, $5 iced tea, or like, you don't know. And so it also, like I said, it gives us the data to find out. So then, you know, because the other thing I thought of was I love cheese, whatever that is.
Oh, right, we're talking about the shepherd months.
Yeah, so that that even if it's not that, if it's another event, I can go to her and say, this was one thing.
Yeah, okay.
We're getting a gift certificate for them for a prize for summer reading, for adults.
I will start reading.
An adult bingo, thing, yeah. Summer.
I move, we appropriate $700.
Well, we won't, you won't have to appropriate the money.
Oh, good.
You'll only have to, approve the use of the plaza by Inspire Cafe.
Okay.
Because you have control, the trustees have control over it, it's like private property.
Yep.
So you have control of the property.
Do we need to specify Inspire, or just say vendors? That gives us any wiggle room in case.
I would say Inspire.
Okay.
I need to recuse myself from the vote, just so. Very good, my relationship.
I mean, since I work with the Muslims club, I don't know how you do it.
So I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Second. So you're gonna vote, Karen?
I don't know what the guidance is on, you know.
Yes, certainly.
And then that way, nobody
Yeah,
can.
Yes.
that is probably the cleanest, if there's any concern, yeah, okay.
We still
very
have a
good.
quorum out the 2.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Okay, so, all right, so we got the motion and a second, if there's no discussion, we'll vote. Amy?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Chris? Yes. I'm a yes. That passes. 1, 2, 3, 6 yeses and 2 abstentions or recusals. Okay,
The last Thursday in June.
last item is library finances and reports.
So that's gonna be for June, and I want you to think about what you want the reports to look like. Do you need a bigger font? Or, and what kind of information do you need? We have all new people writing these reports now, pretty much, so, you know, and we haven't really reviewed it in a long time. So what do you want the numbers to look like? What, any ideas that you have for things that would improve your understanding or give you some information that you haven't had, that maybe you need? Anything that you think of, and we can discuss that in June.
Yeah, that's right. And so for me, if I come back with anything, consider it at the beginning of the discussion, if there's an easier way to get at some negative information that you as staff know how to do. My goal is not make work for you guys.
So if you think of something too, in the next couple of weeks, send it to me and I'll mock something up
Alright,
and then
very good.
add it to the packet, we'll see, we'll work from that. But you know, sometimes the numbers they're not compared to anything else, and when I looked at comparing them, I'm like, what is that? If I show you what happened last April, it's,
The library will be closing in 5
doesn't
minutes.
mean
If you have
anything,
materials to check out or
you know.
printing to complete, please do so now.
Alright, very good, we have our homework. Items not reasonably anticipated by the chair, I have none, we'll come again, Karen. Anything else, any walk-ons, folks? Alright, is there a second? Second. Very good, we'll vote. Amy?
Yep.
Adam?
Yes.
Laura? Susan?
Yes.
Karen? Dan?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Yes, unanimous, we are adjourned.
Right, Karen.
8:56.
First meeting.
Next meeting is
You're
June
not usually this
25th.